So, we're here.
This isn't my basement.
It's not.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a lot more trash in your basement.
This is better than my basement.
So we are at the Dev Rel Studios at Microsoft HQ, which is something I never thought I'd say. Pretty cool, right?
Mhm. Yeah. No, it is cool.
Very good.
It is cool. I know where. Yeah, like I knew we weren't home, but I'm glad you told me where we were.
Yeah.
Because that clears things up.
We're in Studio A. Apparently there's 2.
We're in A.
Yeah.
Well, that could mean there's 27.
You're pretty good.
I don't know why you said that. It's
Quite right.
We don't know how big this
You're quite right.
You know,
Very
we
good.
didn't do the tour first.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I want to see if we can get through this entire thing without saying the C word. Do you think we'd be okay with that?
I have to cut that out. What's the... Copilot.
Yeah.
I ruined it.
Yeah, you did.
That's not what we're talking about today.
Okay, what are we talking about?
We are talking about what I've been doing for nearly 10 years now, which is cloud native management for PCs and how to get there, and also how it affects MSPs. Because we've been talking about Intune for MSPs recently, right?
Yeah, we did the webinar. Yeah.
We did the webinar, so you can check that out live. Not live, but you can check it out as well. You'll see it at some point. We did that. We did other stuff for Intune for MSPs. I got a video coming out about autopilot for MSPs.
Yeah. Well, we did the in-person clinic as well. I don't know if clinic's the right word, but we did the clinic.
Talk.
It was kind of a...
It was a clinic. It was a clinic. We did that.
Without the medical stuff.
Yeah. So there's been a lot going on in the Intune world and cloud native management for MSPs. And I think it all kind of rolls together. It's one thing to get an enterprise on board with EntraJoin. And we say cloud native, we should probably clarify what we mean. So when we say cloud native, we mean EntraJoin only, no domain, no hybrid. We mean autopilot deployed, and we mean Intune managed, no group policy, no configuration manager, no imaging.
And do we mean that for devices as well as users, or just users, or just devices?
This is where I'm glad you asked that, because this is where it gets tripped up.
Okay.
Because the first time I told someone we're not going to do domain or hybrid join, they thought I meant, all the users and everything, and they cursed at me and told me to leave their office.
Yep.
I had a lot more hair back then, but
you've got quite a lot of hair right now. Just
ideally, it's not where it should be.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Windows devices, right? We're talking about the PCs and the general state of them. Your users can stay on-prem, Active Directory, that's not going anywhere, but it's time for stop with the devices, stop domain joining. It's over, right? I used to be more polite about it, but it's 2026. We had a good 10 years. Now is not the time for niceties.
It's fine, but what about my file shares that are still on-prem? I'm still going to have a box in the office that has stuff on that my developers are working on. I need hybrid devices for that, right? I need domain devices for that.
So this is probably a good time to talk about myths. So why don't we start by talking about the myths of cloud native management?
Okay.
One of them is that when you join a PC, it is I'll say an unknown or foreign entity to the domain. And it is not. You have your Active Directory, you have AD Connect, or what's it called now? Entra Connect?
Entra ID Connect.
Entra ID Connect, that's syncing your users from on-prem to the cloud. So your users are up there. When that user joins a PC is aware of the user's on-prem credentials, right? So how do you sign into a file share? You sign in by who you are.
Username and password. No.
Username and password.
Yeah.
So without even enhancing that, you're going to get in. You're going to get prompted to sign in your username and password.
Right, because the user's signing into the file share, not the company.
And the user is still on the domain.
Right.
So not going to be an issue. And then if you really want to kick it to the next level, say, I don't want them to get prompted. It's too much work. People put in their passwords. It could take too long. They got to use PTO for stuff like that. Let me tell you something. That's what Windows Hello for Business is for. Because Windows Hello for Business means you can use your face or the thumbprint, whatever, blood sample, whatever you want to get into your computer. And if you set that up right, that means your users will be able to access your on-prem file shares, your on-prem app authentication with no prompting, no prompt.
No, because Hello for Business uses the device thing there's something on the device, right? It ties to the device credential and stuff with the TPM and all that kind of stuff. So it needs the device to be on the domain.
But it doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah, this is where that's
tell
why
me all about that.
that's why it's good, because it uses the device's TPM to secure the passwordless authentication, because you don't need to use your face for Hello for Business.
Okay.
You could use a PIN. And then people say, well, PIN is just a password. The PIN is basically unlocking the on-device hash to get passed through. And if you set it up right, it'll get passed through Entra all the way back down to AD. That's how I always picture it. I always picture up and down like ladders and stuff.
Okay.
Well, it helps me mentally.
Yeah. You need help mentally.
I do. That's why I draw with crayons and think about ladders.
Right.
So you'll be able to authenticate, right? And it won't get a prompt, because you'll be able to take that modern passwordless mode of authentication and go right on to on-prem. So that's one reason you don't need a hybrid join device.
So that's fine for file shares, but Steve, printers.
Why are you printing anything? No.
Okay.
There's a lot of solutions for printers. So the easiest way is look at Microsoft. I'm going to mess up the name, Universal Print.
That's great.
Look at Universal Print. That allows you to manage your printers, your print queues through servers, through Entra. And if it's managed through Entra, you'll have no problem doing that on your Entra joined PC.
You did just tap a Mac when you said that, but never mind. Let's just.
I got stickers on it. You don't know what
Okay,
this is.
fine.
Don't assume my hardware.
All right. So we've agreed then that no one needs to ever domain join a device in any situation ever anymore.
Well, this is the ambiguity of it,
Oh.
right? Everything is situational, right? I will say this for the most part, because look, there's a lot of different use cases too. I work with companies where we got, manufacturing, we got air gap devices, maybe they have sensitive data. There's a lot of different scenarios out there. So what we want to think about is the majority of knowledge worker PCs, right? You got your company, you have sales, you have HR, you have management, you have devs, right? You give them Windows laptops, for the
Right.
most part. There's a lot of Windows laptops floating around,
Mhm.
right? What are you doing with these? That's the part we're changing. Like, if you're telling me you got a device that, pumps fuel into an airplane on an active runway, that's a different story. We can have a separate conversation about that. My rule is never plan for the fringe, and the fringe has turned into domain or hybrid join. So net new PCs, we want to plan for cloud native.
Okay. So given that story,
Yes.
how does an MSP plan for cloud native for all of their different customers that are mini to big enterprises in some cases?
It's very tricky because one is it's rare if you're an MSP, your customer is going to come to you and say, hey, we want to be on, cloud. I mean, sometimes they do, we want to be cloud native. We want to be this. The MSP's job is to support the customer, keep the PCs working, and deal with a million other things that aren't endpoint. So the best thing there is to start doing what we would call the journey to cloud native. So
How many steps do you think are in the journey to cloud native, Steve?
depends on the customer.
Does it?
It
Right.
does depend. I could say 3, I could say 6,
Right.
I could say 28,
Mhm.
but it depends. Here's the best way to look at it, though. It's like, let me paint a picture for you here. What do you got today? You got machines on the domain. That's what hybrid join is for, right? Hybrid join gets a bad rap because of autopilot.
It does. I hate hybrid autopilot.
You're not alone, dude.
Right.
Okay? 1 out of every 3 MVP suffers. Are those prescriptions or no?
Yeah.
They are prescriptions.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to ask you that before at the hotel.
That's all right.
The reason hybrid join gets a bad rap is because of autopilot, right? Trying to do autopilot provisioning with hybrid join devices is very difficult, near I say broken. But
It should never have existed. That's the thing.
it arguably should have never existed. However,
I don't want to argue about it. I'm just saying it should never have existed.
I love arguing. Some people have done it. But aside from that, I will agree with you on that. So think about this. You have all your PCs on the domain. How are you going to now move them over to Intune and Entra join? Don't think of it as a full lift and shift, right? hybrid joining an existing device is great because it lets it be seen by Entra. It lets you enroll in Intune, right? So it's kind of a best of both worlds type thing. You can use Windows Hello for Business.
Like a bridge.
It's like a bridge almost,
Right.
like a bridge where they move over. And for those who are using, I call it SCCM, it's Configuration Manager, and what's it called now?
It's no, I think it's just config manager.
Config Manager.
Yeah. They
Okay.
just got rid of the SC because the SC never really should have existed apart from like the way it was sold.
System set.
Yeah, there was a system center suite, but as a
Oh,
suite, none of the things actually made sense together.
it makes
Like
sense.
Service Manager, VMM, no one needed them all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Enter Suite. Never mind.
Got it.
Not that.
It's different.
Mhm.
Very different. So for those of you using, if you're using Configuration Manager, you've probably seen co-management where you can start shifting workloads. I prefer to use co-management like a lifeboat, right? Where you put all your you take that device and you let co-management shift all the responsibilities to Intune. It'll be in Intune. You can register the devices in autopilot. So then here's what you do. You start with your net new. You say, forget about my current devices for a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to build Intune to support a brand new out of the box, preferably a Microsoft Surface. I don't know. Were they paying us for that? No. Preferably, you take a PC out of the box and you register it in autopilot and you enroll it in Intune and you build that Intune config to support your security standards, your app deployments, your policies, all your stuff, right? And then you'll know when that device managed only in Intune can stand on its own 2 feet and it can, pass your, security concerns and user acceptance testing. Now you have something really nice built out. So now what you do is you take your current fleet, you shift everything over to Intune, knowing it has a safe spot to land.
What does the shift look like, though? Do you literally, is there a shift? Is there like a tick box in Intune that says like shift over to?
We're gonna pull it up. Hold on. Google's hard, man. Let's see here.
If you try Copilot?
I haven't tried Copilot for this. So let me share my screen here. Okay. So when you go to and we'll include the links below for this. This is Microsoft's documentation on co-management. This always actually painted a really good picture. Let me just go to this tab. So you can see here, right? You have Configuration Manager on the bottom. You have Intune up in the cloud where it sits, right? And you would have a device that is hybrid join. So it has the config man agent on it, but it's also enrolled in Intune. So it can actually, you can see these workloads down here, client apps, click to run, Office apps, not called Office anymore, but I call it that.
What is it called?
I don't know, but it's called something else.
Copilot.
Is it Copilot? Copilot for 365?
Microsoft 365 Copilot, something, I don't know. Yeah.
I'll call it Office till I'm very, very old.
Yeah.
Then you have all your other things, Windows update responsibilities, configuration. You can shift all these to Intune. So if you were to take all the responsibilities and put them in Intune, when you look up there at that cloud, that means my net new devices are in there. My current devices are in there. I have a unified management plane. So it doesn't matter because when I tell people, well, we're going to do some with autopilot, but your old devices came from this way. Here's the thing. No one wants to manage 2 different platforms, especially MSPs, because MSPs have a ton of, platforms they have to manage.
Yeah.
So by putting everything in Intune, it's just one, which makes things a lot easier. And then as far as, what did you say? What does it look like to shift?
Yeah, what does the shift look like?
I thought there was a picture of it on this page. All right. So if we pull up this doc, how to switch Configuration Manager workloads, okay, this is essentially what you have in Configuration Manager. So you can see these are all the responsibilities that Config Manager has today, and I have 3 options for them. So the first one is Config Manager. That means leave everything alone. Config Manager is doing all your work. And the second one is Pilot Intune. You can take certain collections and just test devices in those collections as moving over. So you could say, well, this group of devices out of everybody else, they're going to get their client apps from Intune, right? So, and then of course you can shift everything over to Intune, which is where we want to be. We want to say Intune is in charge of everything now. And I don't really even need the client on there. The client could lose communication and it won't matter. Because now, regardless of we'll call it the birth of the device or the onboarding, I don't care. Because as a, MSP or support, you don't want to care about, well, I got to help, John here with an issue. What was his computer? Was it image? Was it auto? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. It's doing it all in Intune.
But then say you've got 2,000 devices that were in Config Manager,
Yeah.
and now you've built this nice Intune environment, so you want to get them all in Intune. And you're saying that you don't need to do anything with the device itself.
There'll be an Intune with this.
Right.
There'll be an Intune.
So
Exactly.
when can you turn off Config Manager?
Once they're in Intune, you can turn it off.
Right. And the domain?
We're not talking about the domain. Okay. Leave the domain alone. That's a separate conversation, right? Because the domain extends far beyond devices.
No, but I mean, when can you turn off the domain thing? When can you stop updating group policies for devices, that kind of thing?
Well, immediately, right? Because what you're going to do is you have group policy. That's another thing you brought up, group policy.
Yeah.
People say, I need to be domain joined and hybrid joined. I have a lot of group policies.
That's a good point.
So as far as group policies go, all the applicable group policies, or I shouldn't say group policies, all the applicable policies and controls you need in Windows 11 are all available through Intune, through the settings catalog, through device configuration templates, CSP, everything's available. So Microsoft has some great tools. Well, I shouldn't say some great tools. Microsoft has a great tool for analyzing your group policy, but I would never recommend just lifting and shifting everything. I guarantee you, whoever you are, your group policies are not pristine. I've been doing this a long time, and you have too. And you've probably never seen an organization who cleans their policies every year, keeps them nice and tidy, does a review on them quarterly.
No, I usually see organizations who have policies from XP,
Yes.
who are keeping them there because no one knows why they're there,
Correct.
and they assume they're really important.
All the policies, the group policies your organization probably has, they were set up by a guy, either named Ted, Dave, something like that, and he ain't with the company anymore. He's never with the company anymore, so no one knows why they're there. No one bothers to touch them because it's going to break.
Yeah.
So I would say
Because Ted knew everything.
Ted knew everything, and he's gone, and
We can't touch it.
good for Ted.
Yeah.
The approach should be start with well-known standards or baselines. There's several out there available. There are tools that can provide that for you. Like this is a good known Intune security baseline. Then you layer on specifics that your organization needs. And then finally, if there is a delta, right, you can take a look at your GPOs, see how they migrate to Intune, and then be very selective about what you bring over. You don't want to bring over yesterday's mess for tomorrow's device management.
That's a really good way to put it.
I made that up just now, but I like it. I'm going to get it printed on a t-shirt. The other thing is, as far as that goes, you don't have to worry about GPO on the domains. You were saying, when can I care about? Look, the device will be hybrid joined. It'll always technically be part of the domain until it can't see it anymore. But once you're hybrid joined, once you're Intune managed, it doesn't matter, right? That device will live out its life the way it is until it's a time for it has to be wiped for some reason, which it will re-go through onboarding as an autopilot device. Or we refresh the device, you get a new one and replace it.
All right, so let's just take this back for a second.
Take it back.
Are those new glasses?
Yes. These are they're new glasses. It's been 4 years with the other ones,
Right.
and pretty happy with these.
Prescription or just?
They are prescription, slight prescription.
Yeah?
Yeah, slight.
Perfect. And so just to take it back a bit, that's where I was going.
Take it back.
Intune for MSPs. How can an MSP do that at scale? So building a new tenant, you said you had to get this tenant up and running in the Intune environment and all that kind of stuff with policies, baselines, that kind of thing. Surely there's a tool that you can use for that.
Correct. Yeah. So what you want is you want a way to get all the, not only, you don't want to get them all up and running, is you want to also get them to a good standard, right? And you want to deploy well-known baselines. So what I've been using is a tool called Tenant Manager,
Mhm.
right? Tenant Manager basically allows you, it does a few things. You can add Intune tenants to it. You can very quickly deploy well-known baselines. So give an example. Let's say your organization has to meet CIS compliance. Instead of,
Most do.
most do,
Mm.
I think it's a good thing to have, at least level 1. So instead of going through, racking your brain, reading the CIS stuff, trying to find the policies in Intune that match it, you flip a switch, Tenant Manager deploys it for you to your to a tenant. It can deploy it to many tenants, and then what you can do is, I'll tell you what, if anyone messes with the tenants, that gets reported. We call that drift.
Right.
So it'll show you if a tenant has drifted away from that well-known good place,
Mhm.
and we can revert it back. And that's really important for MSPs. You know why? Because they don't have time to go into Intune and do all that.
Mhm. So reverting it back.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're gonna need a backup. So
Yes.
you need to set up some kind of backup stuff separately, or
Well, you know what's interesting? No one really backs up their Intune tenant.
why would you need to? Microsoft have all the policies there. You just undo, right?
Microsoft has all the policies there, but not your policy. So they're not saving them anywhere. They're not snapshotting them.
Right.
Not even about disaster recovery. Let's say you make a bunch of changes to a policy and now your PCs don't work. I hope you remember where they used to be set. Tenant Manager backs up your Intune policies as often as once a day,
Right.
daily, I believe. So you're always going to have backups. They're not just in case of security drift, but let's say just something doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Let's say you have tablet PCs or Surfaces, and you got guys in the field using the camera on them to take pictures.
Yep.
And now you've set a policy to disable the camera by accident. Now, that's going to be really bad, right? And let's say you don't know where that would suck.
Yeah.
And if you don't know where that policy is, you're going to spend more time trying to find it versus saying, "Wow, everything was great yesterday. Click, revert to yesterday." So it's really powerful for MSPs, and MSPs rely on tools to make their job easier because their focus is support and end
Mhm.
users and keeping people productive.
But people these days
Yes.
use apps on their devices, right? And those apps get updated every single day. So how can an MSP keep up to date with all those apps? Because every week Chrome releases a new update. Everyone
Yes.
uses Chrome. Everyone suddenly needs to you need to remote in and do some work on that PC to get that app updated. Or you enable the
Yep.
auto updater,
Well, you can.
but that's terrifying because of Notepad++ stuff.
It can be. Yes, there are. Look, there's always security concern for that stuff. I recommend hiring a team of guys, and their job is to just watch the apps
Right.
That
Every day.
every
Just
day.
every
That's all they do.
every 30 minutes, just click on refresh on each of the tabs of Chrome,
100%,
Firefox, and
and
stuff.
make sure they're up to date. That would cost a lot and consume a lot of time. But what doesn't cost a lot and consume a lot of time is a tool called Robopack.
Hmm.
Now, Robopack perfectly complements Tenant Manager.
It's actually, I think, pretty built in.
It is built into it, actually. So what Robopack does is literally what it sounds like. It automates. Actually, it doesn't say auto. I say built into the name, but it's not. Robopack takes over your whole Windows app patching life cycle. And what we mean by that is packaging. If you know Intune, right, and you've been packaging apps, is another thing. MSPs don't have time to package apps
No,
every
they don't.
time. Let's say I'm an MSP who has 15 different customers, 15 organizations, and on any given day, they're telling me, I need this app in the tenant. Our users need this. That's going to take you days to get that packaged and tested. So what Robopack does is it lets you deploy apps through Intune. There's a massive catalog. It's something like 30, 40,000 apps.
30,000, yeah. Yeah.
Crazy amount of apps available.
Yeah.
If you want 7-zip, you want GitHub, you want Node.js, Docker, whatever it is you want to deploy, you go to Robopack, you select the app. They have from that catalog, it'll be in Intune in a matter of minutes.
Mhm.
And now you've made that app available. You can control how it gets rolled out. Maybe you want to roll it out to 10% of your fleet, 20%, the whole thing. You want to make it available. But what's even better than it getting rolled out there is the patching. So once you set it, it will automatically patch for you based on your preferences. So when an update comes out, it can do that whole cycle again, 10%, 20% of the fleet, the whole thing. Another thing MSPs need to work right, but don't have the time.
Yeah.
to babysit.
Testing is difficult and so just forgotten. So most people
Usually
don't have time to do it.
is forgotten. Correct.
Yeah.
What's nice about Robopack is it will test the app for you before it gets deployed to Intune. So if I go, even their own apps, right? They have that catalog that said 40,000 apps.
30.
30?
Yep.
I keep saying 40. It's 30.
It's 30.
It's 30. It's 30,000 is a lot. I can't name, 30 apps off the top of my head. But if you go grab an app, let's say it hasn't been deployed in a while, or just because it's available there, all the apps are smoke tested in real time on a VM on the back end somewhere.
Yep. Hosted by Robopack.
Hosted by Robopack, right? So you don't have to worry about hosting or VDIs or none of that. You don't have to worry about that. It's going to install the app, check if it's an app you did, you're welcome to package your own app. It'll test that app for you, test the install commands, detection rules, uninstall, make sure it launches, and it'll stop you. It'll say, this is not a good app. This didn't pass our, you shouldn't put this in your tenant.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, either fix it or, use something else. And it's great. And then it does that with the update. So I think these are the kind of things that I think traditionally have prevented MSPs from adopting those.
Yeah. So we've essentially solved the problem for MSPs, moving customers from on-prem to cloud native by making the tenant management stuff work and the app management stuff work.
Correct.
All done.
Seamless.
Solved.
Yeah. Well, it is solved. Yes.
Yeah. But one of the other things is that during that the Intune for MSP webinar, because Microsoft are essentially trusting Robopack and Tenant Manager to solve that problem for customers, we can give that away for 60 days for free. So you can try it all out. You don't actually have to pay anything for Tenant Manager and Robopack. You can just sign up, join the webinar, watch the webinar, and get that code for 60 days free of Tenant Manager and Robopack.
See, I didn't know that. That's incredible. So tell me about the support there. You said, so this is actually supported by Microsoft.
Yeah, it's Intune for MSPs is a program by Microsoft that Tenant Manager joined, and Robopack's kind of built in because it's built into Tenant Manager, so you get Robopack with Tenant Manager. So yeah, you just kind of get that full solution.
So for Intune for MSPs, this is a program by Microsoft that's about Intune for MSP.
It's MSPs using Intune.
Yeah, it's meant to help adoption. So Microsoft has been looking for tools to help with this, certain tools. And there's a lot of tools out there, but I think what they did is
Loads.
What?
Loads of tools.
There's loads of tools. But what Microsoft did, which is really nice, because look, there's nothing wrong with third-party tools. Sometimes we get fatigued from looking at all of them. We also don't know who to trust all the time because we're already using Intune, so we trust Microsoft with Intune. And then we say, well, now we're going to introduce something else in the environment. I don't know how I feel about this. Well, Microsoft stepped in and said, we've looked at all these tools, we've vetted them, we've tested them. This is what we recommend you use as an MSP. And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah. It says a lot, I think.
It does say a lot.
So we've essentially solved the problem. And I think that's all we needed to cover really here today.
Solved a big problem.
Exactly. And it's nice that we got to sit in this really lovely studio to do it.
This is a nice table. I'm going to ask them afterwards what kind this is because mine is not this sturdy. Mine shakes a lot.
Does it?
I'm in the market for a new desk, so I'm going to find out what this is.
You need like desks everywhere though. You've got a lot of stuff.
I have a lot of stuff.
This is cleaner.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a conversation. I think they'll be able to recommend some stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Good chat. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you.